Hey! Oh, my voice cracked. Hey, Pokemon Masters, Berkey Toby here. Welcome to the first of the videos of 2019. I'm filming this a little bit before the new year, obviously. And today's video, actually, as well as all of the 3 videos this week, are not by me. It's the first week of January. Usually I actually take this time off and don't upload anything. Instead, I decided to do something a little bit different, inspired by another YouTuber called Tom Scott. I did a little competition as well as selected some channels, and I'm letting 3 smaller YouTubers host the channel just for the week. The next 3 videos are all going to be by someone new, someone who hopefully you haven't seen before. And so with all 3 of these channels, they are new to the community. They are trying to make something different, and please join me in welcoming them. Head on over to their channels and subscribe. Of course, their links will be in the description. And without further ado, I'll hand you over to Umbreon Libris and his video about guns in Pokemon.
Wait, what? Isn't Giovanni supposed to be a big bad crime boss like the Wilson Fisk of the Pokemon world? I just beat him in a Pokemon battle, why is he giving up? Why doesn't he just point his pistol at me and make me hand over my Pokemon? It's a question that comes up over and over again every time there's a new Pokemon game. It's been the same question for over 2 decades. Why do bad guys in Pokemon always cooperate and bow out peacefully in the end? I'm Umbreon Libris, and Toby has very generously invited me onto his channel to finally give you an answer. I would say that most people think of Pokemon battles in the framework of sports, and that is how trainer battles are presented to us. There is a league that regulates how battles can be fought, like how many Pokemon you can have. You start your athletic career by practicing against whatever you can, like battling weak wild Pokemon and other rookie trainers like youngsters. But once you get the hang of it, you start to battle against increasingly skilled trainers like ace trainers and gym leaders until you qualify to face the strongest opponents in the land and have a shot at becoming the champion. In the anime, trainer battles are even more like sports, even for friendly battles between 2 random trainers who just bump into each other out on some route. There's often a limit placed on how many Pokemon each side will use, and a lot of times there's even someone serving as a referee. The whole structure of league championships in the anime is based on big sporting events with tournament-style knockout matches and big packed stadiums. But the sports metaphor falls apart a little bit when it comes to the actual plot of the games, which involves you, as the player character, taking on a criminal organization. You battle your way to the boss, and when you beat him in battle, he concedes defeat and walks away. Sometimes it takes more than 1 battle, but you defeat them even when they bring their best teams. And when you do, the threat is gone for good. Well, except Team Rocket, they love a comeback. But as far as I can remember, never, not once, do any evil team members come at you personally. They never try to punch you or hold you down, and they definitely never point a gun at you. And I can't think of a single sport where that scenario would make sense. If you're an evil crime boss who also happens to be a football coach and your entire organization will crumble if people find out that you lost a match to some prodigy, you're not going to let that happen. You probably won't even give the prodigy a chance to play. So what is it? Is it just that Pokemon is a game for children and they didn't want to have adults attacking children? Well, that is probably part of it, but there is also an in-universe explanation that makes sense. In the early days of Pokemon, trainers were actually intended to participate in battles alongside their Pokemon. That is, until the team at Game Freak had a realization. If you can fight on your own, what's the point of having Pokemon? So, in a game design sense, but also critically in a world-building sense, they took away the ability for people to fight each other directly. The Pokemon world has almost no weapons at all, with very few exceptions. There are lots of weapons in the anime, of course, Team Rocket uses them all the time, but keep in mind that the anime is actually made by different people. The anime is based on the games, but they take a lot of liberties. It's a different canon. The real source material is the games, and in the games, there are very few weapons. There have been trainers like tamers and policemen that use whips and batons, but those are probably more for taming and controlling Pokemon than actually for fighting. In Gen 4, Team Galactic did have their Galactic Bomb, but that's not used against people, although it did leave a bunch of Magikarp to flop on land. The only real weapons come from the Kalos games. There is, of course, the ultimate weapon, a weapon of mass destruction used in a war against people and Pokemon. Definitely a real weapon. That was used once 3,000 years ago. And then there's Honedge, Doublade, and Aegislash. I don't think these Pokemon are ghosts inhabiting swords because they can breed, but even if that's the case, their Pokedex entries prove that swords have existed at some point because these Pokemon are described as swords. There was also a sword in one of Sinnoh's myths, but again, these are old weapons. They're not actually in use anymore. I mean, even Vikstrom, the Kalos Elite Four member who dresses like an actual knight, has an Aegislash, but not an actual sword. So, in a world where weapons basically do not exist, but people carry around and compete with magical beings with very dangerous abilities, the Pokemon are the weapons. That may seem a bit obvious, but think about what that means in practice. A Pokemon battle is really a match between my weapons and your weapons. A Pokemon that is defeated is like a weapon that's broken or run out of ammunition. In a friendly competitive situation, this doesn't matter much, but in a hostile battle, it means that the winner still has usable weapons, whereas the loser is literally defenseless. I mean, they could try to punch you, but is that really advisable when you have a Blastoise pointing its cannons at you? It's probably pretty taboo to use Pokemon against people, but we know that it happens at least occasionally. Lance has his Dragonite use Hyper Beam against a Team Rocket member at their hideout in Mahogany, so the possibility that a Pokemon would attack you does exist. And whereas with real weapons, someone who is unarmed can try to disarm the other person and take their weapons, with Pokemon, that's just not going to work. Pokemon are loyal creatures and maybe even sentient. In a hostile Pokemon battle, the loser has no option but to cooperate. Of course, if they're not being arrested or something, those evil crime bosses can just heal their Pokemon and train some more so they don't lose the next battle. But if they're being repeatedly overpowered by a 10-year-old, it makes sense that they would eventually give up and permanently hang their Pokeballs. Until 3 years later, when a different 10-year-old sweeps their entire team right when they were about to make their comeback. I want to thank Toby again for inviting me to be on his channel. This is a great honor, and I hope that I've been worthy of your attention. You can let us know by leaving a like and a comment down below. And hey, if you enjoyed this video, please go check out the other videos I have over on my channel. There's a link in the description and probably on screen somewhere. I do theory videos like this one, but I also talk about Pokemon creature design, and I have some art projects coming up that I think you'll enjoy. I'm Umbreon Libris, and I hope to see you in the next chapter. Practicing against whatever you can, like battling weak wild Pokemon and other Wookiee chainers like youngsters.